What up? What up? How's it going?
Hey,
What's shaking?
what's up? Hey,
Yep.
what's up with the color? Green today? We go green in the background.
Going green, man. Gotta rep the squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, I get it.
Yeah, man.
I feel like I haven't talked to you in 24 hours.
It's been at least 23, man. Been at least 23 hours. That's for sure. But here we are, back again.
Back again.
I love it, man. You're in a good mood today, man. You must have had a good day.
I actually kind of did have a good day. Yeah, it was a pretty good day. So
awesome.
Work went day job work went pretty well. DJ, consultations coming in for next year. On pace to do better than I've ever done, which has been the trend the last 2 years too. And so, I mean, and I think that's probably par for the course for people who want to get to that point. It's easier right now than almost ever.
Right.
Doesn't mean you can't put the work in, that you don't put the work in too, but right. Yeah, man, it's been a pretty good day. And then I'm going to watch some more Girl from Plainville later.
There you go. Well, and I think, if you just keep your nose to the ground and you keep learning and keep growing, and, I love the saying, learn as you grow. And, and if you just keep doing that, man, good things just seem to happen,
Yeah.
Quick shout out to our boy, Nick, having to work tonight. So he's not going to be able to be with us tonight on the show, but we figured we'd just take a chance and do a off night. I know we're normally on Tuesday nights, but speaking of Tuesday nights, last night, what a great conversation that was with Morgan Childs, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was great. I think it was so eye-opening to hear some key things, right, that you need to think about if you're going to go into that small wedding, intimate wedding, elopement market, and that it's a real thing. It's not just a pandemic thing. It's not just a COVID thing. And just even some, I haven't put it on my website yet, but Happily Ever After Party will be a package in my, on my menu of packages, and will be something that I promote for couples who say, hey, we decided to go the small route. Well, cool. You still going to have a party afterwards?
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's so smart. Well, if you didn't get to see that episode live, obviously you're always welcome to go back to our YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, shameless plug, we hope that you will, and watch that episode from last night along with all the other episodes that we have. This is, what is this, number 64? We're getting up there, man. This is pretty cool. This is good stuff. But you know what? The shows are not about us. The shows are really more about number one, about our guests, and number two, about you, our audience, and us working hard to continue to keep bringing you guests that are going to help you build your business, and a lot of times help you build from a personal standpoint as well, not just from a business standpoint.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I think sometimes when you tune into different things like this, right, it's very salesy. Sometimes it's very much like about me or about David or about Nick, right? That's the complete opposite of what we try to do. Yeah. We want to promote our guests as much as possible, but we also want to make sure that you get free value by watching our show. And if you tune in to shows that we've had in the past, or ones that we'll have in the future, or this one, which is going to be, I'm super excited to see, you're gonna walk away with something, even if it's something you maybe don't want to put into place in your business, which is fine. You're gonna walk away thinking, hey, you know what? I know more about that now, and if I ever want to, guess what? I can dive in.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much my criteria. I think at the beginning, as I said, whatever we get on for guests, it's imperative that our guests leave our viewers and our listeners, whether you watch the show live or whether you listen to the podcast version after the fact, I want you to have felt like in that hour, in that 30 minutes, in that 45 minutes, whatever it is, shoot, some of our shows went on for 2 hours, but in that time, number one, you felt like it was well spent. Number two, you felt like it was spent with people who actually care about the fact that we want to see you grow and we want to hear your success stories. And number three, that our guests can help give you at least one, but hopefully more than one nugget that you can implement immediately, right away. Like as soon as you're done watching, you take your little notes down, which, by the way, I would really suggest that you get a pen and paper or however you take your notes and get ready. I know you can watch and listen to this again, but while it's fresh in your mind and you're hearing it, take notes because there's going to be a lot tonight for you to do that on.
Yeah. And I'm excited because this one I did not get to be a part of.
Yep.
And so this is going to be my first time watching it. And you're going to get a post-live reaction from me about how I feel about this episode. So I'm super excited. And I want to buy one of the hats.
There you go.
That you are wearing right now.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. Well, by the way, you can get them on their website, and they even pay for the shipping for you, man. So that's pretty cool. You don't even have to pay for shipping; they ship it to you free, and it's really cool. So let's set this up really quick for anybody who doesn't listen to us or has never watched us before or has like, what in the hell are you guys talking about? So the normal format of our show is we would normally have a guest live on with us. In this particular instance, our guest was not able to be available during the time where we do the live show. So Nick and I actually did a pre-recorded interview, if you will, with the guest, and so we're going to show that interview tonight. It's about 22 minutes long, and I'm telling you, it is from beginning to end. It is wow. It is full of just energy and just a lot of things that I think you're really going to appreciate. We interviewed Jesse Cole, which is the owner of the Savannah Bananas baseball team. They're basically a I think the best way to describe them in a descriptive that most people recognize is like the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. They basically took everything about baseball and said, let's look at all of the things that are not so great about baseball and how can we make them better? And how can we make them more fan-centric? And how can we make them more exciting? And Jesse will talk more about that in the interview. But they are just an amazing sight to see. And Jesse himself not only is the owner of that baseball team, but he's also an author, a speaker. He's just an all-around phenomenal guy, and I think you'll get that out of him in the first 10 seconds that he starts talking.
Dude, I'm super pumped.
Yeah.
So I've been looking forward. You guys pumped me on this for the last week, and I hate that I missed it too, because I would have loved to have been there.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm ready. Let's dive in.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna fire up the video. We'll let it play, and after the interview, Frank and I will be back to give you our live, immediate, in the moment reaction to the interview. So here we go. Hey, welcome everybody to Wedding Business Growth. I am here obviously with my good buddy Nick right here next to me, and we are joined by the Savannah Bananas owner, Jesse Cole. Jesse, thank you for joining us today.
Yes, fired up to be with you guys this morning.
Man, I am so excited. I came to the game a while back in April. I came to my first Savannah Bananas game, and it happened to be the one that they were recording for ESPN. So I think it was even a little bit more hoopla going on that day and that whole weekend. And I came back and told the guys, Frank, unfortunately, is not with us today, but I came back and told the guys about the experience, which to me is what it was. It wasn't just a baseball game. The whole thing was just an experience, and I loved it. And I said, we really got to get Jesse on the show with us.
Well, thank you. Out of curiosity, what stood out for you at the game? What were some of the moments that stood out for you?
I think for me, what it was is that, you had the band there. And then even if you just go back to the very beginning, like the minute I got there and I was in line, there were people from the staff welcome me. Hey, welcome to the game. We're going to get started soon. There was a DJ there. Then like the whole team and everybody comes out for this kind of grandstand entrance right out by the fans, high-fiving everybody, dancing with everybody. Jesse, you were out there with the microphone, getting everybody hyped up. And I'm just an old school sports fan. So to me, to see that element of entertainment brought together with sports and it actually work and it not be hokey and weird and kind of like, does this really work? Like everything just worked. And I think that's what I told them as I was like, you have to keep your head on a swivel because there's so much going on during the game, but everything works. So if you're a fan of sports, but you also like to be entertained, you can't have a better experience than this.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the reasons I also was hoping to have you on with us today was because as our viewers know, and we talked about a little bit earlier before the show, we all work in the wedding and events industry. The most important thing for us is going to be our clients, whether it's a couple for a wedding or whoever it is that we work with. And a lot of the philosophies behind Fan First Entertainment, which obviously is your company, just is so applicable to our industry and how we can be towards them. And it's one of the reasons why we wanted to really talk to you about today. So I want to dive right in for time's sake. You have this concept of always be, and then it's like always be caring, always be different, always be enthusiastic, always be fun, always be growing, and always be hungry. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how that applies to how the Savannah Bananas organization is ran?
Sure, that's our Fans First way that you're talking about, and that's basically how we hire, how we bring people on our team. That's who we're looking for. But Fans First goes a little bit deeper than that in the sense that it's the name of our company, Fans First Entertainment. It's our mission, Fans First, Entertain Always. Every decision we ask, is it fans first? A new book is fans first. Everything is about creating fans. Like everything is about creating fans. And I think to think back where we started 6 years ago, sleeping on an airbed, the fact we only sold a handful of tickets. My wife and I had to sell our house. We were struggling. We were trying to chase customers instead of create fans. And I think about the wedding business, that you guys are in, we've developed the 5 E's to create raving fans. And the one I think about with you guys is the second one, which is entertain always. And, everyone says, well, most businesses, you're not in the entertainment business. You guys are definitely in the entertainment business. But I think about this, it's not just to entertain here and there when you're supposed to. It's to map every single touch point to entertain. It's to map the moments from the first interaction to the last. And I think we found with baseball, it was too long, too slow, and too boring. So how, as you're standing in line, you're entertained? How, as you go to the bathrooms, you're entertained? How, when you're in the grandstand, you're entertained? We have 7 stages that we entertain. And I wonder if a DJ or a person put on a wedding event sees they only have one main stage they're working with. And when you think about when people first walk in, when they leave, the parking lot, and you start crafting that, you could be pretty much the best in your industry because you're starting to map every moment. And we were terrible at it at first, but now we've got better. And, we have 55 promotions before the game, as you probably saw. We do 5 to 10 new things every night we've ever done before. And a lot of them fail. There was probably 6 or 7 things that went miserably wrong, but not many people know because there's so much going on. That's the power of experimentation. So I know a long-winded answer, but the reality is the Fans First way is how we hire, how we bring people part of us. But the idea of Fans First, Entertain Always runs our business.
And that kind of goes right into that CARE acronym. Could you talk a little bit about that acronym a little bit more?
Wow, you're finding some of the hidden parts of our company. I'm impressed. The CARE is something that when we first developed our Fans First playbook, it was part of kind of who we are and what we're doing and what we stand for. And they communicate the right things at the right time to the right people. Accountability, which I believe is the sincerest form of love. Hold the people accountable to fans first and caring for people. Recognition. Everyone's looking to be recognized, but how many people are looking to recognize others? It's a different game. And then E is empowerment. How do you empower your others to start creating these fans first moments? And I think, the best form of marketing isn't just word of mouth marketing. The best form of marketing is when people leave your event, interacting with you and say, you wouldn't believe what they did today. You wouldn't believe what I saw. You wouldn't believe how they did this and this. Like that, you wouldn't believe. We try to create you wouldn't believe moments. And so when you empower your team to do that, and you communicate the same things over and over again, and you hold them accountable to do that, and you recognize them for doing that, you get this unbelievable cycle of doing it over and over again.
I absolutely love that. And maybe a little selfishly, I love the accountability, and I love what you said about, it's the greatest form of love. And it's just the ability to kind of unbiasedly be there for somebody, good, bad, or indifferent, and just help them hold themselves to a standard that they've said that they want to be held to and hold themselves to as well. I love that.
Yeah, well, the greatest coaches are always pushing people. You're never going to remember the coach that was just like, hey, always just good job. You need to balance the pushing them to be the best version of themselves, plus recognizing when they start getting there. I think you look at, Steve Jobs and Jeff Bezos, they might have pushed people so much, but I don't know if they recognized as much. Walt Disney was different. That's my biggest mentor. Walt Disney pushed to get the best out of people. He believed people could do things they never thought they could do. And when they did it, he recognized them. He acknowledged them. That, to me, is the perfect leader. And you combine those, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too, and I think translating that over to our industry, even just being able to apply that recognition to the other vendors that you work with, and when you see, for example, Nick is a videographer, I'm a DJ, we work together a lot, but when I can offer an opportunity, for example, for him to get a good shot, like that's a great time, where maybe he would have missed that shot, not that he wasn't capable of getting it, it's just that he might be focused on something else. This is going on over here. And all of a sudden I'm like, hey, there's this thing going on over here. And that might be a point where he's just like, hey man, thank you so much for not allowing me to miss that opportunity.
Yes, I love this. And Nick, I want to jam into your business. You said you're a videographer, correct?
Yes.
All right. I love that. Obviously, that's become a huge part of our brand and who we are. And, coming from only selling a handful of tickets now to having 2.4 million TikTok followers and all the growth, 3 million social media, you have a huge opportunity with video, as you know. Yeah. And especially where the world is now. All right. We're in a TikTok world now. All right. So, and you might already do this, but you provide obviously the dance, the kisses, the toast, the highlight video that everyone wants. And you have that as your main package. But what if you actually cut 3 to 5 TikToks or reels of actually really fun moments with your music that they would share that? Because again, what's the greatest form of marketing? The greatest form of marketing is obviously word of mouth. You wouldn't believe. But what we measure, what we test is not the comments, the views, the likes, it's the shares. Yeah. If someone is willing to share something, it gives them social currency. People won't share a 5-minute highlight video, really. People won't share a 10-minute highlight video. But a 15 clip of the best man doing this crazy dance and putting it to a TikTok song and trend, that'll be shared around the whole wedding party. And so maybe don't even say you're going to do that, but do that as an add-on. Hey, I created these 40-second reels, these 40-second TikToks for you. Do you already do that? And I just throw that as an idea.
No, I mean, I do it for my own business for like marketing, but I don't give them to the clients. But I really love that idea. I really, really love the idea of just kind of giving them
the bonus. And then doing these thinking of the whole wedding as a videographer and saying, all right, what are these extra things I could do and turn in not just the speech, but make it to a popular song and add it to it and cut it together into a little thing. And they may not love it. They may not use it, but whatever. It's just showing them like you went the extra step. And it's fun too. And all of a sudden, if they start sharing that, they'd be like, oh my God, our videographer did this out of nowhere. Yeah. And it's awesome. So those are the things I think about when you think about your position and how you add those extra moments.
I love it.
I love that as well. Absolutely. Wow. Gems. Look at that. Jesse dropping gems for us within our industry, right? How cool is that? All right. Well, we're going to hit you with another one. As you can probably already tell, we've been doing a lot of research because I have just completely gone bananas, as silly as that sounds, over this team and just the way you do things, Jesse. And so one of my favorite parts of the concepts of Fan First is the 3 M's: moments, matter, and meaning, right? Like, that is like our industry. If you couldn't define our industry any other way, to me, those are 3 things: moments, matter, and meaning. Let's talk about that a little bit.
The 3 M's, yes. When we started building Fans First, we thought, how can we simplify some of our messages, some of our things that matter to our company? And we started thinking, and I was just like, nothing matters more than making people feel like they matter. It's as simple as that. Nothing matters more than making people feel like they matter. And so we started saying, well, how do you do that? And it's you create moments that show people they matter. And then the full circle is that it gives you, yourself, your team, everyone deeper meaning. And so what we look for is, again, those moments that we can create. And, I have tons of stories of recognition and things that we try to do. And, during our games, we teach our teams to listen carefully and respond creatively. And so whenever we, know that, even like when we hear someone's having a baby, and we have a banana baby before the game, David, you probably are well aware of it. We lift up the baby there and sing, "No, Savannah," no, and the whole crowd does it. We have a waiting list for the banana baby. Like, people before, like when they get pregnant, they call us to actually join the waiting list. And a little touch that we can do to create a little moment is when they reach out to us, we send a bananas onesie to them with a personal note. Congrats. So excited to have a banana baby. It's a simple moment that shows that we care about them, that they matter. And that provides us meaning, because it's not just, hey, we're putting on a show. We're actually connecting with individuals as who they are. And obviously, when you're in the wedding business, you get to, if you're great at what you do, you ask a lot of questions and you get to know what really matters to the bride and the groom and the family. And when you know that, then you can use those little touches, listen carefully, and respond in a creative way. Hey, I heard this matters so much to you. I added this. This was a gift I gave you. I mean, again, think about this. How many people in the wedding business actually give gifts to the bride and groom other than just performing?
Sure.
What if you guys actually had a personalized gift for them. And you know, that extra little touch, but it shows it's not just like, hey, but maybe it is an amazing picture or something from the wedding that you guys did and said, hey, to an amazing life together, blah, 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 blah. And you sent this as just a gift. Maybe it's a week after. Maybe you send them videos and they get that at a different time. It's those moments that really matter that, again, gives us meaning to what we do, that we're not just on another wedding, not just another game. We're actually in people's lives and we're connecting with them in a real way that makes a difference.
Yeah, and to your point, I actually saw recently, which I wish I could remember who it was, but I'm like, I hate to steal this idea from this person, but I think I'm going to do it. I saw a guy that actually presented a couple with, it looked like a record, and it was the lyrics from their first dance song, and then it had like their names and wedding date, and it was like just like a print, I don't know, like a 6x9 print or something like this, and it was just something that was unique and cool and special to that couple. And just a really neat touch.
You know, it's so good. And John Ruhlin's amazing at this with the book Giftology. So many people, the amount, millions and probably billions of dollars that are spent on promo items with your logo on it, on a pen, on a koozie, on a shirt, make it about them. Make it about them. Now, obviously, we're a little bit different because we're a sports team and people feel pride in that a little bit. But, you know, instead of sending them, oh, here's some stuff with my logo on, here's some koozies for you. Put it specific to them, and then they're going to hang that record up in their house for the rest of their life because it means so much to them. And I think that is really special.
Wow,
that's really amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of continuing the conversation, focusing on acronyms. You know, acronyms seem to be really awesome. Focusing on being the only and most fan. Can we talk a little bit about the only acronym and kind of what that means and dive into it a little bit?
The hardest question I've learned when talking to entrepreneurs and businesses, anybody, is what makes you different? It's the hardest question anybody has to answer. And a lot of businesses, they will use the ers. You know, we're a little better at this. We're a little faster at this. You know, we're a little And it's all based against their competitors. The right question is, what are you the only one doing? Because when you're the only one doing, that can spread tremendously because people are saying, oh no, these guys are the ones to do because they're the only one doing that. So how do you do it? And if you want to keep going to acronyms, it's funny because you're bringing these up from the old Fans First playbook. I haven't talked about these in a while, but the only O is own the problems in your industry. The first thing, if you want to be the only, you have to find out what are the problems and challenges in your industry. For us, baseball, long, slow, and boring. You go to a ballpark, you get nickel and dimed. So literally why we have no ticket fees, no convenient fees. We pay your taxes. Like our finance director said, Jess, we're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in people's taxes this year. We pay their taxes on food, their taxes on merchandise, and their taxes on tickets. All right. So, and every ticket's all inclusive when you come to Savannah. As you know, David, like whenever you want a soda, burger, hot dog, just go up and get it. And that's the way it works. So we found the problems. We own them. You get nickel and dime at sporting events, and it's long, slow, and boring. Nonstop entertainment and all inclusive. Those became two of our onlys. Then, and how do you create noise? Attention beats marketing 1000% of the time. You have to be able to have something that's so different that when you say it, people start telling everyone else about it. It's very contagious. And then L, love. We have to think about the L, the love in your business. And people don't talk about that. Obviously, in the wedding business, I hope they're talking about that. That's not going to be a good marriage if they're not. But the reality is love is important. And so we talk about the 3 L's. Love your customer more than you love your product. Love your people, your team members, your employees, even more than you love your customer. And then you got to love yourself above all if you want to be the best for everyone else. So many people are in a bad headspace. They're not winning the morning. They're starting days off not on purpose, and they're struggling every day that they can't be their best for their people or their customers. It's that inverted thing. You want to be the best for others, be the best for yourself first. So when you create those, then you can start going up this ladder of creating what you are the only. And then finally, the why that puts it all together is the why. Why do you do what you do? Simon Sinek made it famous talking about the why. We always say we're here, we got a business, we're making money, we're there. But what gets you up in the morning, the purpose behind why you do what you do? And for me, I know when we bring people together from all over the country, and we have a family come up to me in a game, just happened a couple of weeks ago, and say, we're so excited. We had so much fun. I go, oh, did you drive into town? They go, we drove 40 hours from Utah for this game, and we're driving 40 hours back tomorrow. And it was everything that we could hope for. And then at the end of the night, when the band's playing in the plaza, and David, I don't know if you stayed to the end, but we're playing all these jams, then all of a sudden the band goes into Stand By Me, and you have all the players and the cast members and the fans put their arms around each other singing Stand By Me. It's a goosebump moment because you feel that you're a part of something. When I feel that we're bringing people together, I feel this unbelievable love, and that combines everything else to create what you're the only at. That took years to build, years to get there. But if you answer those questions, what are you going to own? What problems are you going to own in the industry? How are you going to create noise and create attention, not just market like everyone else? How are you going to follow the 3 loves? And then how do you know why you do what you do and tell everyone about it?
Wow. Yeah. And yeah, I was there from, I purposely came very early, and I was probably one of the last people to leave. And you're right. That last moment of just kind of, and I think you can do a tie-in with the wedding too, because it's kind of like when we do the last dance at the wedding, like you've had this experience. It's so fun and so exciting, and had so many different up and down emotional moments. But then at that very end, when you just tie it together and you take like a couple seconds to kind of remember why we're all here in the first place, there's just something very special and very magical about it.
Yeah, and we built to that. Do you remember Yellow, where we're at a whole stadium singing Yellow, and they have the lights up? All right, how did that feel being in the crowd? That was a new experiment for us.
Yeah, that was also another goosebump moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Nick, for that, we had the whole stadium with their flashlights up playing, and we're singing Yellow. Look at the stars, like how they shine for you, and everything was all yellow. It's our 7-inning stretch. And so we build towards those moments of a roller coaster in its experiment. But I don't want to take too much time, but it's those moments that people remember, hopefully.
That was awesome.
Absolutely.
So awesome. Well, we only have a few minutes left, and I wanted to just give you an opportunity to touch a little bit about, we've talked so much about Jesse Cole, the Savannah Bananas business owner, but tell our viewers a little bit more about Jesse Cole, the speaker, the author, obviously, and maybe a little bit about the yellow tux and, that whole concept as well.
Definitely.
Well, I appreciate it. Yes, I'm in a yellow tux and on a lot of audio-only podcasts. They're like, why are you wearing this? I go, because this is my uniform. I played baseball my whole life, and when I put on my uniform, it's game time. You get to a different gear. You amplify who you are to the best version. And so I own 7 of these. I proposed to my wife in this yellow tuxedo. She actually said yes. We're still married. I'm probably the only returning customer at brightcoloredtuxedos.com. That website actually exists, and I bought numerous from them. But yeah, I wear it whenever I'm on stage, whenever I'm on the field. It's again, I put this on and it's showtime for me. And I believe everyone has something. This is obviously a figurative, but someone has something that makes them stand out. And how do they own it? So yeah, yellow tux is big. I got asked to start sharing a story a few years ago, and I remember speaking at little rotaries and chambers, and now I'm just so fortunate to be able to travel the world sharing our story and fans first, the 5 E's to create raving fans that I share in our book. And so yeah, that's a big part of my life. But again, everyone says it kind of cliche, but this is a big part of my identity and who I am. But I am most proud, of being a father and a husband, and now a foster parent to 2 beautiful young girls. That it's my wife's dream to be a foster parent, and we're doing everything we can to make sure they're in a great spot and healthy and happy. And maybe one day we'll put it all together and create a nonprofit called Bananas Foster and try to do it all over the world and have some fun. So those are things we're working on, and it's just part of it's all part of what gives me joy and gives me purpose.
Man, that is so awesome.
Now, when's the book come out? I know it's pretty soon, isn't it?
May 17th is launch day. Yeah, May 17th is launch day, and very excited about it. Awesome. 2 years of work.
Well, I'll definitely be grabbing me a copy, because I can't get enough of what you guys are doing, honestly.
Yeah.
Thank you. And the book's the first ever. I'll tell you, there's a halftime show actually in the book, which we're the only baseball team to ever do a halftime show, and it failed absolutely miserably. David, we didn't do one your game because it failed so bad. We'll eventually bring it back, but there's actually a halftime show in the book, and there's a few other surprises, so it's a lot of fun.
That's great. Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I know you're a busy person, and we didn't want to take up too much of your time, so truly appreciate you joining us. I hope that our audience gets a lot out of this. I know I do. And I also encourage our audience to go to the Savannah Bananas website, go to the About Us page, and watch the videos that are on there, and just understand the incredible story of how this team almost didn't even happen. And I just kind of want to tease that, because I definitely want people to watch that and understand that when you believe in something, you have a passion about something that you really want, you can make it happen. And Jesse is living proof of that. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you. And thank you for coming out and seeing the show. That means a lot to us.
Oh, I'll be out plenty more. Believe me, I'm going to potentially even be a season ticket holder next year if I can rustle somebody out of letting me get one from them.
We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Whoa.
Dude, so before we even like dive into talking about it specifically, right? How do you feel about like watching it back, right? How do you feel about like yourself? Like, is that the first time you fully watched yourself like do one of these?
Yeah, it is. I mean, the first thing I pick out right away is my little sappy, almost like cryy eyes, because and there's really a reason for it, because to me, like I have always been so passionate about sports. That's everywhere that I thought my life was going to be before I got into this industry. And so anytime I'm that close to something, sports related, it just brings all of that back up again. And honestly, at first it used to be kind of in a bad way, but now in a good way, because I just think about all the good things that happen. And, I would not even have the opportunity to be having this conversation right now with you if my life would have went in that direction, because the reality is we probably would have never met each other. You know what I mean? And so I choose at this point not to look at it as a negative anymore, but really just more of, that's what I thought was going to happen in my life. It didn't, and that's okay, because now what's happening in my life is great. So I do get pretty emotional, and then to, and I mentioned at the end there about going to the website, and really there's two different videos on their website on the About Us page that really talks about the story of Jesse and his wife and the things that they had to do to really even have this team come to fruition in the first place. And that's just powerful to me. It's so powerful.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, I think people who tune into this show regularly know this about us, and if you don't tune into this show regularly and this is the first time, you're going to learn this very quickly. Like we have a heart for sports. Like we all love sports. David's a diehard Red Sox fan. I'm a diehard Mets fan. We of course like other sports, including fake sports or sports entertainment and wrestling. Right. So like sports really speaks to us. So anything like around sports, period, the teamwork, the camaraderie, the ability to win and lose with people, keep your head up, keep working hard, all those things are things that translate to your everyday life. Mm-hmm. And it comes out of a game. I mean, in this case, baseball, or a unique form of baseball in this case, right, is like, teaches you all these things. I actually... Side note, totally right, but I actually have a rule with my kids that they must play one sport a year. And I don't care if they're good or bad. None of that matters to me, right? I want them to learn all the lessons that sports helps you learn. That's the key thing to it for me, and my daughter's luckily been playing basketball her whole life, basically, which is great for me because that's what I played. But now she's also into softball and volleyball. So my one son's into soccer, wants to do football. Other son wants to do football, did baseball, right? But it's all the stuff you learn from it. It's so important to your everyday life. Even when you get into business, you're going to win, you're going to lose, how to keep your head up, how to fight back, how to work hard, all that stuff translates. So I'm super jealous that I didn't get to be there. Not that I know there wasn't a lot of time, so it's not like we all could have just chatted it up, but still, totally.
Well, and here's kind of a funny behind the scenes thing. I'll tell you about it real quickly too. So obviously, again, if you watch our show, that we have that little 2-minute video kind of intro just to get things going, let people get a chance to get settled and get on the show so they don't miss any of the dialogue or anything from our guests or whatever. So normally the way I do things is when we're ready, I'll hit go live. And then once I hit go live, I'll hit the video first. I'll start the intro video and then I'll hit go live. And I've always done it that way. Well, obviously for that particular one, we were not going live. We were just recording it. So I hit record, assuming that it would just start recording, but it ended up just starting to play the intro video. It just automatically played the intro video. So now I'm freaking out like crap. Oh my God. So I stop it and I go to try to refresh it to start all over again. And then it kicks all three of us out. And then I had to create a whole new link and I had to email that to Jesse and Nick really quick. And mind you, we only had like a 30-minute window to get this done in. Right. So I'm like, great. I'm already starting off on the wrong foot with this thing. And so That's just a pretty funny thing that happened that obviously nobody would know unless I told you. But hey, this is about being real, and life doesn't always happen the way you want it to, and you just find solutions. And we did that, and we had to I don't know that we really shortened the conversation per se, but it just put us in a situation where we knew, okay, now we have about 25 minutes to get this done.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But hey, what do you learn from sports, right? Perseverance,
Yep.
right? You're gonna do it anyway, and you're gonna do it your best, and you're gonna work hard to get the link out real quick in this case, right?
Yep.
And all the above. So yeah, I mean, those things happen. It's technology. It's a new platform. I know you're only a couple of weeks into using this new. What are you gonna do, right?
Yep.
But hey, all that stuff aside, so let me ask you. What was your single biggest take, especially watching it back, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you had what you felt like when you were in the moment.
Yeah.
What do you feel like now is like your single biggest takeaway from that interview?
I think probably for me, listen carefully and respond creatively. I think that's awesome. That's awesome. Because you can, that the second half of it, you can take that in so many different directions, and I think a close tie to that, if I'm allowed to have one, I think a close tie to that would actually be the one that originally for me it was too, because I really love his thing about, how people automatically start comparing themselves to their competition, and they're better, they're faster, they're stronger, they're whatever. And it's like, yeah, forget about all that shit. Like, what are you the only one that does? And I think if we're all honest with ourselves, especially in this industry, that's kind of a hard question to answer. That's a hard pill to swallow. And when you find that, you found magic, man. I think it's that serious.
Yeah, you know what? I love that. It's called, different places call it different things. The first thing that you mentioned, right? Like, it's called active listening, right? So active listening doesn't just mean you're sitting there and you're listening, like you're participating, like you're letting somebody know that you're intentionally letting them know that you're hearing them, right? Like I'm in it with you. And then when it's your turn, right, responding appropriately is part of active listening, which also means accepting what they've said. Too many people always come back with the but this, or well, what about that, right? Like, what he's telling you to do that's so key for our business, because you have couples that you're going to consult with on the phone, and you're going to meet people day of, and you're going to work with vendors, and they're all going to have their things to say. And too often, especially when I was newer, I found myself saying like, hey, where am I setting up? Hey, well, don't forget, you can't really do this here. You kind of have to do it over there, or whatever the thing was. And I wasn't actively listening to my client. I was trying to be the professional, the expert, which I need to be, but I have to do that in a way that allows somebody to feel comfortable and allows them to know that I'm trying to help them elevate whatever it is. So what he told you there is, and it's gold, and it's so important, and it creates buy-in. If you do it that way, man, that couple's going to be like, I'll never forget that call with David. I want to book David. I want to book Frank, because he heard what I said. She heard what I said, whoever it is, right? They heard what I said. And not only that, but they came back with something that elevates what I said to a whole nother level. It's so golden.
Yeah. And I've said this to you before, and probably even on this show, like I feel like I've gotten a lot better about learning from you. And I've told you that before, because you have this amazing ability to just do everything you just said. You do that all the time. I mean, almost kind of jokingly, to the point where sometimes I'm like, Frank, are you still there? Are you still on? Like, if we're on the phone, right? I'm like, is he still there? Because you're just so dialed in, and you're not like, like you're just like, let me talk, let him talk. And when I finally shut the hell up, because everybody knows I can talk, then and then there's also this pause that you have, which makes me feel like you're saying to yourself, let me make sure I've processed everything that I've heard before I respond. And that, my friend, is awesome.
So I know this is totally off topic, but this happened because I had gotten a my first ever leadership position with one of my day jobs, right? And we were in meetings with different staff members, and I remembered being a staff member when I was in these meetings, and always getting what you just said, always getting cut off and whatnot. And so at first I was doing that same thing, right? Same thing. Well, luckily at this point in my life, I worked with my wife, and my wife proceeded to tell me after work, right? Hey, shut the fuck up, like, and listen, because you complain that they never listen to you. Now you're not listening to them. And then so I did a little bit of research, and I found active listening. And then I just said, you know what, Frank, like, just sit there and shut your mouth and don't say a word, and make sure that you're hearing what somebody says and be in that moment. And then after you're done, just take a second and give yourself time. Like you said, give yourself that time to process it. So that way, because what'll happen is if you speak too soon, you're going to miss something, because the last thing that they say could be like the most important thing that they're going to say. And as soon as you interrupt them, they could have lost it altogether. So it's so key. But I love that he said that. And it's a really cool way of saying it too, because and respond creatively is so, especially in the wedding industry, so important. If you respond like every other DJ, every other coordinator responds, they're not going to remember you from the next person. But if you respond differently and creatively, still elevating what they wanted, oh, they're going to love it. So that, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's so powerful. And just one little caveat I think about is like, when we tell ourselves to, like you said, shut the fuck up, shut the hell up, like we need to be telling ourselves that, not in a negative way. So now you're putting yourself in that place where you're like, oh, I can't wait till they're done. I can't wait till they're done. But like using that time to become a true listener and a part of that conversation. You know what I mean? And when you can close your mouth and you can close your mind, and the only thing you need to be focusing on is not what am I going to say next, but what are they saying now? You know what I mean? Don't worry about what you're going to say next. Focus on what they're saying now. That's huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you are the expert that you think you are, or that you are, right? That, let's put it like that. If you're the expert in whatever your lane is in this wedding industry, that you are, you're going to be able to respond, right? You don't have to think about it. And the other thing I'll tell people too, and this is just a little add on, especially in this new world, which is like virtual, where they can't see us doing certain things all the time, or on the phone more, like have a notepad and take notes of what they're saying too. And if you need to, write a little one word reminder of what it is that popped in your mind when they said whatever that thing was, so that way when you go back, you can make sure that you're responding clearly to every single thing that they said. And that's another thing that I think is really important, is don't lose sight of anything that they say, anything that client says, couple says, whatever. You want to respond to all of it, because the thing that you don't respond to might have been the most important thing, and you just don't know. So you got to make sure you cover all your bases. His energy was one of the things for me that just blew my mind. Like, he is talking to two guys on a podcast on a Wednesday morning. I think it was 8:30 or 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 9 o'clock in the morning. Yep.
I would have thought that he had just eaten lunch and that his energy was like peak for the day.
Well, he does get up at 5 a.m. He told us, like off camera, his daily routine is up at 5 a.m. So it probably was close to lunchtime in that regard for him.
Right. Yeah. But his energy was infectious. Like, that nobody cares about the Savannah Bananas more than he does. It's so clear. He wants his product to be the best thing that it is, more than anybody else wants it to be that way. His number one fan, or not him, but his team's number one fan, they couldn't match his enthusiasm for his own product. And I think that's something that is telling, because it's so easy to get bored of what you're doing. Start doing it enough. I mean, how many, I know they're always trying to come up with new things. He made that very clear, that they're always trying to innovate and be ahead of the game. But at some point, right, underneath it all, it is still just a baseball game, right? And for him to still be so in it after, I can't remember how long he had said, but
5 years.
5 years.
Yep.
with the amount of energy you got to put into it on a daily basis, on a weekly, monthly, yearly, right? Because this isn't, it's a whole different thing. This is a production at a different level than just your one day wedding. And then the next one, it's impressive to see like how enthusiastic he stayed.
Well, and the amount of moving parts that are required to do all the things that they do. I mean, it's got to be structured. It's got to be to some extent scripted, but most importantly structured. And yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that the other thing that really got to me, I'm thinking about what you asked now, and I want to hear your answer, by the way, too. But the other thing that got to me, which I take on as the biggest challenge that I'm excited about, let's call it that, is when he talked about the being on stage from the beginning to the end, because he's right. Like, I think as DJs and you know, whatever you do in this industry, fill that in the blank with your profession or your craft or whatever, there's a lot of times where we feel like, you know, not my responsibility, not my responsibility, not my responsibility. Now it's mine, now it's mine, now it's mine, and now it's not mine again. And so all of this stuff out here is like potential gold that you could be doing that nobody, that becomes your only, that nobody else is doing. And to me, that's a challenge that I want to take on. And I want to, you know, and I want to go to my staff and I want to say, hey, let's have some fun with this. Like, no ideas off the limits. I'm not saying we're going to do them all. I'm just saying, for the purpose of this exercise, no ideas off limits. What could we do to create the experience from literally from start to finish that we're not already doing, and that everybody else under the sun isn't doing better, stronger, faster, or as it continued to say, you know? And going back to the one other thing that you said about him being the biggest fan of his team and everything. And I think he made a huge point that you see this in our industry a lot, because we've said before, this is typically a very lonely industry. A lot of people that work in this industry don't have a spouse that works in this industry. Their friends don't work in this industry. Most people's lives are Monday through Friday, and the weekends are to goof off and do whatever the hell they want to do. In our world, it's the complete opposite of that. And so it lends to a little bit of loneliness. And so I think for him to bring up the point of, you know, as he said, you know, love what you do, but love the people you do it for even more. And then love yourself at the highest level, and don't be in your head as much as we all find ourselves being in. That's a, hey, look in the mirror and where are you at with that kind of point?
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. And you know what's really interesting about that is some of those things tend to be hard when you're in your business, right? Especially the you thing. Right? Like the one mistake, especially when you're a solo, completely solo, it is a little different for you, David, even though I know you take every wedding that you get equally as important as the next. I'm definitely not saying that, but right, when you're physically at that wedding and you make the mistake, it's a lot different than if one of your DJs make the mistake. Right. Mm-hmm. So, you know, but when you're the one out there and you drop the ball, it's so easy to get down on yourself. Right. And it's so easy to say, oh my gosh, I messed that up, and make a big deal out of it. Like he said, get in your own head, you know, so it's hard to like love yourself in your business the most. And that's a challenging thing. And I think that's probably something that we've all had a moment where it's been like, oh, I made a terrible whatever, you know, made a terrible choice. You just let somebody down, didn't show. I had a wedding a couple of weeks ago where I got there a little bit later than I should have. Setup became a lot more challenging because of that. Like, we were not set up fully before everything started the way we should have been. You know, luckily everything was in separate spaces. We could make it work, but like not where I wanted to be. Right. It was very easy for me to go home and be like, you know, but that's not where I'm at anymore. It was hey, you know what? Like we still got it done. We're going to fix it next week. Right. Yeah. And I think that's a challenging thing. And then as far as like loving your client or your, you know, in his case, fan or the people who work for him, and in this industry, the wedding industry, it's all a love industry. If you don't love your couples, right? If you don't love the people you work with, the vendors you work with, you're not gonna survive. I mean, this is a love industry, period. It just doesn't matter. There's no other way to spin it. So you better love everybody.
Well, and to your point, if you're out there and you find yourself, butting heads with people, and you find yourself just feeling, oh, this sucks and blah, 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 blah. Like, at the core of what you do, you love doing it, but then all of these other things around it. I think that's something that's worth really analyzing and really thinking about what you play to that and what role you play in that. Mark, thank you for this, man. And thank you for watching. And happy birthday, by the way. Today's Mark's birthday. I don't know if you know that, but
happy birthday, Mark.
Yeah.
It's got to be what, like 20, 28, 29?
Yeah, I think he's 29 this year, maybe. I can't remember. Yeah, but love that guy to death, man. You want to talk about a smart person. And the other thing on the flip side of this is that I think sometimes people get concerned about, well, I don't want people to think I'm cocky or arrogant and all of these other things. And I will tell you that I do believe that there is a very fine line between confidence and cockiness. And it is okay to stay on the side of confidence up to that line. And I think the magic is when you know when to not cross over that other side of the line. You know what I mean? And so that whole loving yourself and believing yourself and knowing that you are the best at what you do. And what's interesting to me is that if you think about like these awards that we get and, voted the best, blah, blah, blah. But let's be honest, there are 40 people who were voted the best cake baker in fill in the blank city all around the United States. So if you just think about that for a second, that doesn't even make sense. But here's how it does make sense. They were the best for the people who chose them. You know what I mean? So that doesn't mean they're the best that does it, but they were the best for the people that chose them. And that's what's important.
Yeah. No, totally. And I think it's funny because we see all these people talk about, here's the Wedding Wire season, and you see everybody throwing the Wedding Wire, best of Wedding Wire thing on on their most pristine picture that they got from the best wedding that they did last year. And I even subscribe to a service that gives you a yearly update of an overlay sized for Instagram and stories and all sorts of things. That's just like your Wedding Wire and your not ones. But you're so right. If you I don't know if you understand or if you've ever like researched how they work, but you get so many good reviews and you hit a certain number of reviews and then you get that award, right? Well, everybody can say what they want to say, but those are real weddings. Those are real couples. They're real clients, and they didn't have to spend their Tuesday evening writing a 3-minute review for you. They very much just could have said, you know what? Like, I tipped them. They did fine. I appreciate them. Here's a thank you letter, but I'm not going to go log on and create a few accounts that I have to create to build this out for them. And so just take it as like a testament to your own work. It doesn't mean, don't compare it to anybody else's. Right. I've been super pumped that I've gotten like the Wedding Wire thing of 4, 5, 6 years in a row now. I know people that have gotten it 20 years in a row, but hey, like, I'm excited for myself. I'm excited for you getting it 20 years in a row. And you know what? Just keep it pushing and be the best version of you that you can be. And that's really all that anybody can ask of you, and all you can ask of yourself.
That reminds me a lot of my post that I put on Instagram today.
Maybe I sourced it. So
love that. Well, if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, this is a great opportunity to do that, because everything that Frank just said is definitely applicable to the post that I put out there today. And that's awesome stuff, man. So you know what? We said this was going to be short, but of course, when we get together and start talking about things that we're passionate about, it's never short. But I want to hear your answer to what you asked me. What was the maybe the one thing that really hit you, or maybe one or two things? You might have already mentioned them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I kind of did, but I guess I didn't put it out there quite like directly like this. So honestly, what I got from the 22 minutes more than anything was like an umbrella thing that covered all the different sayings and the short things that he said, the analogies, and right. It's all customer centric. We've talked about this before, you and me and Nick and other guests that we've had. But there's something to be said about wanting your product or when creating your product to be thinking of your customer first, right? Too many of us, especially in this industry, because we're creatives, it's part of what we do. It's like, okay, well, I want to be a DJ. I want to be a photographer. Okay, well, you're a photographer. I want to be a dark photographer. No, I want to be a light photographer. No, I want to sell a book. I want to have like an album that I'm going to sell in every package, right? Oh no, I'm the DJ, and I want to add glow sticks or whatever, right? Like, too many people in this industry are just so worried about like, I want to do this, whatever it is. And I think it's so important to just don't even worry about what you want. What you want is a successful business that makes you the amount of money that it needs to make. That's what you want. But how you're going to get there is by worrying about what your client wants and your couple wants. And it's so important to remember that point. When you talk to that couple, if all of a sudden a couple of couples say, hey, do you offer cold spark to a DJ, right? Do you offer cold sparks? Maybe I need to invest in cold sparks and start offering that. Hey, do you all allow us to share Spotify playlists with you? Well, yeah, I do. And then I went on my planning form and I gave a spot for people to share Spotify lists. You have to be thinking of the client and the couple first. And it's important in every industry. It's so much more important in this industry because it's literally what you're there for. You're there to support and provide whatever service you provide to the biggest day of their lives up to that point. Typically the biggest day of their lives up to that point. And if you're not matching what they want and you're not focused on what they want, you're missing it completely. And I think everything that he said is so that, and based on what you've told me about him and the experience you had, like it rings true when you're actually there. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Welvin also watching us on Facebook. He said, it's not coming through here for some reason, but he said, amazing concepts. I'm paraphrasing what he said, honestly. I'm going to go back and tell you exactly what he said. Mind-blowing ideas here is actually what he said. Mind-blowing ideas. So shout out to Welvin, fellow Virginian. Me and Welvin and my buddy John, who you haven't met yet, but you might if you go to the expo this year, who works with me. We hung out one day. He came to our side of town, and we went to a couple of local. Well, we went to a winery. We went to a brewery. We just chilled for like half the day, man. It was a lot of fun catching up with Welvin. That's amazing. Yeah, he's a cool dude, man. I like that guy a lot. He's a straight up dude, man, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, I think anything else before we wrap this up? Other than, do we know who is next? We don't. Our next guest. Okay, cool. I'm not sure who our next guest is. Yeah. I do have one other thing. He mentioned the book that's coming out on the 17th, a week from yesterday. And we kind of put this out on our show last night, but I just want to kind of include the link to that as well. Let me get this off of our faces here. But if you're interested in getting the book, and I'll tell you right now, it's very inexpensive. The book is only $20. Okay. So you're not breaking the bank to buy this book. You're not paying shipping, just like I mentioned earlier. It's $20, literally $20 for the book. And it's called, ironically, Fans First. And I think that you are going to be able to pick up way, way more ideas than just what came from this 22-minute conversation that we were fortunate enough to tie Jesse down to a computer and ask him to talk with us about. So I've got the link to it on the screen here. I'm also going to post the link to it in all of the chats of all the different places that we're broadcasting live right now. And if I remember, I will even put it in the show notes so that it'll be there as well. But all you got to do is just go to Savannah Bananas website and then go to their products page, and it's called Fan First Book. And you can pre-order that right now for $20, which we get nothing for, by the way. This is just me loving this team, loving this gentleman and the example that he sets for all of us. And most importantly, loving you all, our audience, and wanting to provide you with things that will help you grow. this show was so interesting and different.
Yeah.
I didn't get to ask any questions.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, just live feedback.
Yep. I loved it.
So
I love it.
yeah.
Well, it's always fun to, like I said, to bring two loves and, you know, two opposite loves that we have and bring them together and say, as the title of the show was, you know, what can Wedding Pro learn from a baseball team owner? And I think we definitely, well, four things a Wedding Pro can learn, and we probably learned more than just four. I think so. Well worth the opportunity to be a part of it, and we hope you guys definitely got something out of viewing it, or if you listen to it later, we'd love to hear your feedback. So, you know, definitely comment, even if it's not the live version, definitely comment, because we get notified of all of those comments.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we're good, and I think we can say goodnight to everybody until next Tuesday. We are. Let me look at my old calendar here, because maybe I can answer your question after all. I can tell you who we have. Oh, you know what? Next Tuesday we're off, because me and Nick, that's right. We're off next Tuesday because Nick and I are going to be at an event that's going to be all week next week. So we're not going to be able to be on next Tuesday. So probably going to be another week or two before we're on, but that's why the text club exists. And you know what? Why not throw that up too, just in case? So if you guys haven't joined the text club, right up there above us, we'll give you a second to look at that. If you're listening and you can't see it, you can text your name. You can join our text club community at 530-388-5412. Again, that number is 530-388-5412. Just text your name to that, and it'll get you on the list so that we can notify you of events when they're going to happen right away, or if we send out a quick message that says, you know, hey, we're off this week and we hope you're having a wonderful week, but we hope to see you next week, kind of a deal. So standard text message apply.
Great supply.
I don't know. I don't remember what that saying is, but, you know, I feel like I'm being proper by doing it.
Hey, disclaimer.
Yeah,
right?
There you go. All right, bud.
Well, you will hear about sports, and you probably will hear us cuss if you watch this show.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
You know, but it's all in love.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All right,
Thank you for tuning in tonight. We hope you guys got something out of this show. If you didn't, let us know. If you did, definitely let us know, and we'll keep bringing you what you want. And if you have an idea of somebody you'd like to hear from, or you have an idea of a topic that you'd like for us to talk about, please reach out to us. We will find the expert. Listen, I'm not going to say we might not be. We probably are not the experts in it, but we will find somebody who are. Or who is, I guess, is the proper way to say that. So, hey, hit us up. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody.